People also ask, how did
Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.
All right. Welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. It is Sunday night, September 18th, 2022. My name is Jake Luke, and I don't know what the fuck just happened earlier today, but the Ravens lost one of the more embarrassing, kind of fourth quarter collapses. They lost the game 42-38 to the Miami Dolphins. I'm joined on my screen by Cole Jackson, up in Canada, by Gentle Spen Crenshaw, who was on site for the fourth quarter massacre there. Boys, how we doing?
Not doing well, dog. It was definitely a tough defeat for the old Baltimore Ravens, and one of the, I guess the worst September loss they've ever taken. I don't know. You gotta have something that it was the worst of, because an all-time low in many ways. And I'm not talking about the boys from Delaney Valley High School that were a great emo pop punk band, but a much sadder story, and that's what happened in Baltimore, Maryland today.
Yeah, Cole, I can't imagine it's going much better up there.
I'm kind of going through the stages of grief, and I feel like I'm in the bargaining stage right now. So I had my anger earlier after some brief denial. Depression will probably kick in around bedtime when I get a little lonely up here in my igloo. So once I kind of get in there, but I'm just like, it's almost like it's unreal to me that it happened, because it's just like, I'm just honestly shocked that Tua Tagovailoa just fucking poured 6 touchdowns on her head and he can't even push the ball downfield, but then suddenly he could. So it's just really, it's a kick in the pants is what it is. It's a kick in the pants.
My favorite part is that, like, everyone's going to say that, and everyone's going to talk about the Dan Marino comparison, and everyone's going to buy into Tua all of a sudden, not forgetting the fact that, that was, a couple lollipop throws there. He put that first one into Tyreek. The second one, the guy was wide open. I get it. 2 really pretty wide open throws that they take advantage. Good for him. But I don't know. I can't really walk away from this game being like Tua's this amazing quarterback. It just felt like a all-time terrible collapse from this Ravens defense. This was maybe... And listen, guys, we watched Peyton Manning drop a then record 7 touchdowns on a Ravens defense in 2013. This felt worse to me than that because of how quickly it all just came apart. And to steal a term from Jonas Schaefer, how inevitable it suddenly felt, out of nowhere. You go into a fourth quarter leading 35-14, I believe, or a fourth quarter leading 35-14 after a Lamar Jackson 79-yard touchdown run, which should have been on the Mount Rushmore of plays of his career. Maybe still is going to be. Hopefully the season is not defined by this game, but that should have been a play with the Kevin Harlan. He is electrifying. Like that video that came out after, should have been a career defining play for him. It is wiped away by a historically inept performance by this defense in the fourth quarter. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but this is going back to last season. It just feels the exact same way, where when they start
perfectly said, Jake. Like, it just feels exactly like it did last year. All the issues are the exact same. Like, sorry, I had to jump in because that's so bang on.
No, I get it. And it is the feeling of inevitability, and I hate to make comparisons across eras and especially with the different personalities and everything, it just feels a little trite to me to say like, oh, well, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed would never allow that to happen. Guess what, guys? Ray Lewis and Ed Reed would never fucking allow anything like that to happen. No one within a caliber, like anywhere close to that, would allow that to happen. And there are guys that I think are close to that on a good day, even on a regular day. This was not a regular day. This was a no good, very bad day. And it's inexcusable. It's fucking terrible. And it goes to my guy, John Harbaugh, who I will defend against anyone and everything, and who I will talk up very much after he has a good game, a good performance, a good season. He's my guy through and through, but this is on him right now. He's got to figure out what the fuck is going on here, because this is systemic. It is deep-seated. There are problems that need to be fixed, and it falls to him. He's the leader of the franchise as I see it. He's the face of the franchise. Lamar Jackson goes out there, does what he does for the first couple weeks, does what he does today, and you just wasted that performance from him. It's fucking brutal, and it needs to be figured out.
Certainly does, and it starts at the top there. It starts with simply being able to communicate, simply being able to have fundamental aspects of playing defense in coverage against an extremely explosive tandem, yes, but there was all kinds of plays that were made. Some of them, Mike Gesicki's touchdown was incredible. Tua threw a great ball there. Bought some time in the pocket, things like that. But when Tyreek Hill is capable of getting 20 yards of separation, not even being covered, just running down the football field, not a recipe for success ultimately. Not solely on the defense in this one. And I know that people are very divided between, blame this person, blame that person. But the amount of ineptitude they also had in short yardage power situations offensively certainly didn't help their cause. And knowing that Marlon Humphrey wasn't picked on at all, I guess, is a little bit of a silver lining, I guess you could say. But at the same time, Jalen Armour-Davis, Pepe Williams, all these corners they end up trotting on out, Worley. No matter how much the capital they use in their secondary, they just can't have healthy cornerbacks. And I think that's the pain point for a lot of people that are super frustrated, and rightfully so. But the combination of the fourth quarter ineptitude of trying to go put the ball in shotgun and then go run completely, thoughtlessly against a Miami defensive front that had sterilized the A-gap for 3 quarters already. And then also simply just not even coming close to being able to keep plays in front of you is a really disappointing outcome for a game that set a lot of records. I think Jameson Hensley tweeted that the last 711 teams to have a 21-point fourth quarter lead in the regular season had won. So an all-time low for Baltimore today, and multiple facets. They didn't turn the football over offensively. They committed 1 penalty for 5 yards. They simply fucking couldn't come close to any sort of caliber, especially in the fourth quarter, of covering. And they sat in 2 high shells. They played cover 4. They played, cover 3. They did all kinds of different things. And regardless, play after play after play after play, Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle just rose above them and dunked on them. I mean, above the rim, after the catch, everything. They didn't have the athletes. And, you see Marcus Peters come back, make a couple plays in the first half. Tyreek Hill gets past him. Okay, you can live with that one, going to happen. But to watch the extent to which they were unable to generally just come close to containing either of those 2 players was prolific and a really disappointing effort.
Yeah, it is kind of, you mentioned the above the rim terminology. You were using that like during the game, and I think it's a good way of putting it. You can allow that with Mike Gesicki, who is kind of that basketball player type, receiver. He's a tight end basically, but he is more of a receiver, I think. And I think you can live with him making that acrobatic catch that he makes in the back of the end zone. I think maybe that was the first half still. But man, the extent to which Hill and Waddle were just dunking on you as well, it's really an indictment, I think, on the players, on the execution, on the coaching staff. It's impossible to explain, but I keep going back to that word of inevitability. It just felt inevitable that they were just going to make plays. And to an extent, it's emblematic of where the league is right now, where offense is just completely impossible to stop in certain ways. But I don't know. It just, you have to be better than that in every single facet of everything about defensive play.
Going back and looking at the Dolphins' drives in the fourth quarter, they kicked the fourth quarter off with a 6-play touchdown drive. The Ravens fail on 4th and 1. The Dolphins then have a 5-play touchdown drive. The Ravens go 4 and out. The Dolphins then have a 3-play touchdown drive. The Ravens kick a field goal, and the inevitability that you're referring to, once that third down stop happened and the Ravens do convert a field goal, it just felt inevitable that the field goal wouldn't be enough and that they were going to go score.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I tweeted something to that effect. It's like the field goal just wasn't going to get it down there. It just feels inevitable. And they march right down the field. And I don't know, man, it just, The defense was awful today. I mean, we also have to touch on the offense a little bit. Cole, I think you've had some frustrations with the fact that Nick Boyle hasn't been involved yet up to this point in the season. And would he make the difference? Would Ronnie Stanley make the difference? You'd certainly hope so, as far as getting this run game going, because to me, that is the other factor in this game that cannot be talked about enough. Lamar Jackson leading the way on the ground for this team after what he did with the passing game in the first half, throwing 3 touchdowns. He's their leading rusher today with 119 yards, but 79 of them come on one play that should have ended the game, but it didn't. And then I believe you had Justice Hill with 16 yards as their second leading rusher. It's just that is not what this team's identity is. It's not what it has been for the last couple of years, at least. And as much as everyone just absolutely just loves taking their pot shots and dunking on the team for not winning in the playoffs, they at least won in the regular season by playing stifling defense, by getting it done on the ground. They just haven't done that through the first 2 games so far, and they really didn't do it for much of 2021, even when Lamar Jackson was playing out of his mind at an MVP level. They've been away from their identity for a long time, and it reached its nadir today in my mind.
Yeah, I think what hurts this whole thing is they just can't run the ball without the threat of the option concept. Like they don't do it overly well. They had obviously plays in 2019 that they were able to, like, they ran power at a high clip, they ran duo at a high clip. They even actually ran outside zone pretty well. But then 2020, 2021, just not quite the same. And they've really struggled. You kind of see it. They will go into games and it seems like they want to kind of get away from the option a little bit, but then they can't run the ball. And they're like, all right, well, I guess we got to get Lamar back in here. And then obviously he goes for 120 today, including a 79-yard dunk that was absolutely beautiful. But it's just like it. And I mean, the running backs hurt, but the interesting thing is the offensive line is actually doing a pretty good job of protecting Lamar. I think the pass protection is quite good right now. And I mean, Lamar was standing up like a statue today. There was no issues there, but they're just not moving bodies. So obviously there are definitely plays where Josh Oliver gets blown up and you're like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, if you're not going to throw the ball to him, because
especially with Isaiah Likely starting to make some plays in the passing game, it's like,
and Spencer touched on it. If you're going to keep Josh Oliver in there and you're going to live with some negative run plays because of what he can do athletically, whatever, like we'll survive. Like there was the Mark Andrews play where he went down at the 1 and then got the touchdown right after. They ran 2 up the seams. And I mean, Oliver's running faster than Andrews. Like he's that type of athlete in the seams, but they're not fucking throwing it to him. So what's he doing? Like, what's his value add at this point? If he's not going to block, he's not going to be used in the pass game. What is he out there for? And so,
or even being put on the field.
Yeah, and it's like, so sure, maybe Nick Boyle isn't the Nick Boyle of old. I get it, like that he absolutely shredded his knee, but you can't sit there with a straight face and tell me he's going to get blown up. Like it's just not going to happen. Like it's not. So I really don't get it. I know people got all frustrated when I said Nick Boyle was a difference maker, but holy fuck, like just go watch the tape. Like I highlighted 3 plays last week where you're looking at 10 plus gains if Ricard and or Oliver make their blocks, and those are Oliver's role, or those are Boyle's roles. I think that's what people don't understand. They have to use Ricard more as a U tight end because they don't have a guy to do it. So it's not just they're replacing Oliver with Boyle or replacing Boyle with Oliver. They're also using Ricard because you need 2 guys to replace how good he is in the run game.
Yeah, and I think this goes to maybe something that I think you and I had a little bit of a tweet, back and forth on, where it's like the Roman conversation. And like, he doesn't deserve blame for the loss today. They put up 31 points and they were spotted another 7 by special teams. I mean, you should win that game no matter fucking what. And I don't blame Greg Roman, but when you talk about the more macro conversation surrounding this running game, and it's a point that I think Voss has astutely made, where, if there's an expected floor that he's going to bring to this running game, well, that's great. And if John Harbaugh is going to hang on to him through thick and thin because of that, and that's great. And it worked even at times like last season. But we haven't seen it through these first 2 games. I mean,
and that was my rant earlier. It's not like it was 4:31. I was on the ledge. But it's just like I just don't really, if Roman can't get a run game going that doesn't involve Lamar Jackson and the option, what does he bring to the table for you? That's really the question that I was baffled with. It's just
and
like,
what I hate about that, and I think you're right to an extent. What I hate about that is that I actually thought he did call like a really nice first half. I mean, even without a
100%, they were pass heavy. They were passing again on neutral downs. They beat the cover zero. Like I said it earlier, the way to beat that, ball out quick, make a guy miss. You do it a couple times, they'll stop doing it. And they didn't completely go away from it, but they hit Bateman really quick. Bateman got a first with some yak. Duve had one. The way they adjusted, they used likely in motion across to kind of seal off a block, give Lamar some time. They were prepared for the simulated cover zero look, and they got the ball out quick. Guys were making guys miss. It was good. So like Roman actually came into this game with a solid plan. I thought their pass game looked good. I thought the run pass split, especially on early downs, like first down, they weren't just running the ball up the gut every time. It was a pretty good split. So there was a lot of things that I thought Roman did do well in this game.
They had a 21 play drive in the first half.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up. Like his overall approach to this game, I thought was great. And the chemistry between him and Lamar Jackson, I felt, even going back to that first game, it feels like it's at its as the best it's ever been right now. You've got Lamar Jackson going out of single back, going out of I formation, getting under center. He is barking at the line like prime Peyton Manning. He is making checks. He's making calls. He's doing things we haven't seen him do before. And I think you got to give Roman a lot of credit for that, man. But it just hurts when like you have that happen, and then all of a sudden it's 2 steps forward, but you take a step back with the loss of this floor in the run game. So Spenny, what are you thinking about that? Like where's your head at with that Roman conversation right now?
Put Mark Andrews under center multiple times if you're going to keep trying to have it sneak across. Go back to that well. If you want to be stubborn about it, then be stubborn about what worked. Those short yardage situations. But to me right now, the left side of the line just doesn't have the sand in their pants, from Linderbaum to Powers to McCary, and love McCary for the player that he is. And, they're very fortunate to have someone who can go play right now and be a pass protector, but they just don't have the sand in their pants to get any sort of push against a really physical Dolphins front. I really just don't overly, and sure, Roman made some mistakes, was very stubborn. I thought there were times they could have kicked field goals. There were times that they could have, done some different things, rolled out, whatever, but their fucking defense got annihilated. It didn't matter what their offense did. In the end, it felt like they couldn't stop the Dolphins. They weren't even covering Tyreek Hill. So, the offense could have done had a better performance. Absolutely. You score 38 points at home in your home opener. And, like I said, a 21 play drive at one point, you carry a fourth quarter lead in, and sure, call a shitty game offensively in the fourth quarter and give the Dolphins the ball back, but they couldn't stop them. They simply couldn't stop the Dolphins defensively, no matter what happened. So I don't know, one play here or there ends a drive for the Dolphins. Marcus Williams almost had a third interception fall into his lap. They couldn't corral Tua in the backfield. It just the irony of how well they were bottling the Dolphins offense in the first half to what ended up happening. Tua Tagovailoa goes 4 of 5 in the second half on throws over 20 air yards for 155 yards and a touchdown. Waddle and Hill combined for 361 yards. 361 yards. If you just want to look at this from a fantasy perspective, and maybe not even as a Ravens fan, but just how insane this game was, there were 4 players that had over 40 fantasy points in this game, and there were 6 that had over 20. Like, it was just a bonkers, wacky experience. And you can talk about the scheme, you can talk about the execution, you can talk about things, but Tyreek Hill's running uncovered 50 yards downfield in a close game in the fourth quarter. It's not even what you call. It's that the players don't have a concept of who will at least be deep on Tyreek Hill. Maybe that one guy should maybe have someone at least try to run with him. And they couldn't communicate well enough. They didn't understand their assignments. And regardless of if it's cover 2, cover 6, cover 4, man, whatever, you're fucking letting Tyreek Hill run 60 yards downfield untouched. And I'm
looking at the play right now, and Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton are both started at the line of scrimmage. And Jalen Armour-Davis played like sticks coverage on him. Like, he literally just – and they both – the safeties covered the same guy. Anyway, it's one of those – it's inexcusable.
Just get your head around and say, like, for like 1 second and say, oh my God, there's nobody behind me. Maybe I should just fucking run with him. Like, maybe just do that. You call timeout, right? Like, it just feels like there's a complete lack of situational awareness with this group right now, which for a veteran like Marcus Williams, who I'm not going to dunk on because he's off to a great start, but you bring in a guy like that, maybe he's supposed to help with the communication. Kyle Hamilton, you said he was communicating well today. Well, that didn't carry over into the second half. You got Green Dot Chuck Clark out there. He's maybe should be facilitating things. I don't even know if he was on the field for those plays, but it's just like, man, how much have we talked about this in the last 2+ years at this point? Communication on the back fucking end. It's ridiculous.
Out of hand. So, it's a eye-opening performance as a football coach, as a player, and as someone that, considers himself a professional. But again, it just is like, however way you want to spin it, everything that can be wrong is in the back end. Marlon Humphrey all of a sudden can't play in the fourth quarter because he suffers a midweek injury. And it felt like Humphrey played a nice game, was physical, all those things. And suddenly it's like, all right, well, we're relying on Pepe Williams, who got hurt, Jalen Armour-Davis, Worley, and Marcus Peters, who had a couple nice plays, made a couple nice breaks on the ball. But if he was fully healthy and comfortable, he's not coming off the field. And he was. They were rotating guys. And
this does feel like last year. We're talking about the secondary injuries, the miscommunications,
And maybe it's a silver lining that they think they got over those things, and it was a nice slap across the entirety of your face of what can be if you don't address those basic fundamental.
Yeah, and what have we also been talking about where nobody played in the preseason, and that's fine, and maybe this is going to be the preseason, but god damn it would have been nice to be 2-0 after your quote unquote preseason is off to a 2-game. You're 2 weeks into the regular season itself. But if you're using this as a tune-up, that's fine. But man, this is a really brutal tune-up today. And maybe it is a good thing, to your point there, that they're getting that out of the way in week 2 and against an explosive group of wide receivers. Not for nothing, you predicted a loss early this week. You said that this exact thing was going to happen. And then I said you were going to do, your heart kind of picked for you at the end there, and you went back to the Ravens. But I don't know. I think you were kind of bang on with this. That
I said Waddle and Hill would have 200 yards multiple times. They ended up having 361.
I bet you didn't see that coming.
I thought, that's what I thought about this offense. They are explosive. They are going to be able to create those plays. That's what they invested in. That's their identity, is that they are an explosive, fast, big play, yards after the catch offense. And I don't know, you just end up without Marlon Humphrey. You end up with.
You nailed this earlier. You made a good point about how they played last week. They kept everything in front of them. They played pretty soft in coverage, but it looked purposeful. They wanted to just keep guys in front. Basically the bend but don't break. And that's what it looked like early on. It's okay, they're going to give up some yards. They'll get into the red zone. They'll tighten things up, hold them to field goals, all that good stuff. But then it was just ironic and I agree that that's what it looked like. That's what I was kind of calling in my preview show, was I doubt they're going to bomb the ball all over them. I think they'll probably give up some of those soft middle of the field completions whenever Williams steps up, makes a tackle. But never in my wildest dreams did I expect them to be just straight up blowing coverages again, just because it looks so purposeful to keep guys in front of you, which is exactly what you should be doing. But it's they just forgot, oh my God, Tyreek Hill runs a 4.2 and runs past everybody.
No Stevens, no Fuller, Humphrey out in the fourth quarter, and Peters, you've got 50% of him able to go play some snaps. So you're talking about being without corner 1. We'll even not call Peters corner 2. Let's call him corner 4. You're without corner 1, corner 2, and corner 3. Ideally, the way you entered New York last week against Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, and it just simply couldn't have gone worse. And I'm at the game. I didn't quite have a great grasp on how much pressure they were sending and things like that, but it felt like the emotions caught up with Mike McDonald a little bit, and he didn't want to be passive and wanted to push the issue. And we saw Coach Vaz, Chris Pasor, the awesome, social media coach. He said yesterday during college football games, he's like, there's an old adage: if you can't get home with 4, send 5. If you can't get home with 5, send 6. If you can't get home with 6, drop 8. And we saw the Ravens even do that. It felt like they
dropped 9.
Sticky touchdown.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
hey, I couldn't believe it. I thought someone screwed up. They only had 2
a little bit of credit, and maybe injuries did stink, and maybe the Ravens shit the bed and peed down their legs. But maybe the Dolphins are kind of a fucking good team, also.
Yeah,
well, I think they are a good team. Yeah. I think objectively, and here's what pisses me off, because this game was completely winnable, and New England always has our number. and they're just always going to be a tough out, even though I don't think they're overly talented right now. But then you have Buffalo, then you have Cincy, and it's kind of week 4, week 5 get tough real quick. And say you take one of those because they're both at home, you're sitting 4-1 if you're able to take the next two, rather than not unbelievable that they could be 1-4, 2-3 now. And it's just this one's gonna haunt. This one's gonna haunt.
Yeah, it certainly could. And yeah, I mean, I think they are a good team. I mean, I get a little bit of that Titans 2019 vibe where people are going to say it was a complete domination, but I think they did get a little bit lucky with the Gesicki touchdown, kind of executing in the way that he did. I mean, it was a great catch. I'm not going to take away from him, but
when he caught the ball, it was maybe at most like 18 inches under the crossbar. He was levitating and somehow sticks his feet down. I don't know if we got a true review of that one ultimately. There's a lot of ticky-tacky things you can maybe, complain about and make excuses about.
I'm not even
Hail Mary late in the game, final play. Bateman definitely had some physicality going on there in the end zone. So, weird game overall. Just, I don't know. I've never seen a game where a team doesn't turn the ball over. Their quarterback plays a perfect game and still can't get it done at home. It was
and the other quarterback turns it over twice. And I don't know.
They won the penalty battle. They won the turnover battle. They generated explosive plays offensively, and they created turnovers defensively. And that's usually a winning recipe, and today was not.
It reminds me of a tweet from the great satirical golf account Club Pro guy. Remember, amateurs. Confidence is key. But always remember that your round can turn around with one bad swing in the negative direction. Like something of that. It always makes me laugh. And it reminded me of that, play with confidence, but hey, Tyreek Hill can get behind you once and then you're fucked. And it's inevitable that you're going to lose. Like that's just exactly what happened. And it's just, oh God, it's brutal, man. And it gives me the Titans vibes where you have the crazy catch in the end zone and then just a couple wide open plays in the secondary. It feels like one of those two things doesn't happen or two of those three things doesn't happen and you're probably going to win it, but then you also have two awful lollipop interceptions by Tua, who, I'm not ready to call the next Dan Marino. If some people want to, that's fine. He's perfectly competent, I think. But yeah, just a brutal loss. But even at this point, it's like, it's hard to even, for all the people, and I guess we can get into the more macro discussions about it, talking about the coaches and talking about the roster construction. It's like, I feel like they still to this day, I feel like they did what they needed to do this offseason to get the offensive line replenished, to get the secondary replenished. It feels like they went out and they made those moves and we're still talking about this like it was a game from the worst parts of 2021. Like it's brutal. Maybe that just shows you how long it can take to really make a transition.
Definitely. And just looking through the stat sheet here, 3rd down, Ravens go 3 of 10, 4th down, 1 of 3. So in those 13 high leverage downs, they converted 4 of them, and that definitely was, I guess, their Achilles heel offensively. We've got a lot of comments here, fire Greg Roman, this, that, and the other, and I just in the grand scheme of the Greg Romans, and thinking about how when he was with Rex Ryan in Buffalo and puts up, I think, 31 points, and Rex Ryan's defense gets torched, and then he gets fired after a decent offensive performance. So discontent is afoot, and somebody needs to take the blame. So hey, I'm willing to take the blame. I think I'd won too many natty lights today, so I'm willing to be fired for this effort.
I do think this one was 100% your fault. And yeah,
I did say after to many Dolphins fans at the stadium when Devin Duvernay returned the touchdown to open the game, which we haven't even touched on how insane that was. It's over.
Yeah, no, and lucky credit to me for not tweeting the Vince Carter gif or the Pete Weber gif, which I had holstered. After Lamar's great tweet the other day. Yeah, the Ernie McCracken, who do you think you are? I am. Well, I mean, Lamar himself had every right to say that because he had himself a nice day, but God damn it, I did not get the opportunity to tweet that today. And my little gimmick of putting the record in my display name on Twitter is over. Now I'm just sad. And it's your fault.
It is certainly my fault. So, I mean, hey, silver linings, positive side of the coin. I loved the amount of control, like you said, Jake, that Lamar had pre-snap. I love the operations. It felt like that was it reached an impasse last week. And you hear Harbaugh come out, publicly say, hey, this shit with getting down on the play clock and the confusion is out of hand. And they dealt with that. And it felt like there were so many positives in the first half, so many things that went well. And then at the end of the day, I think their biggest we talk about the accumulation of last season and the secondary and these injuries and these things that are still lingering that no one wants to hear about anymore. But they just can't escape their injuries in their cornerback room. And that was not just last year. It has been going on for years and years and years, basically aside from 2019, when you get healthy Peters, healthy Humphrey, and that team goes 14-2. So no matter what they do, they love investing, or I hate the term investing, they love spending in the secondary. And no matter how much money they spend, they can't fucking roster healthy cornerbacks for any consistent amount of time. And today, against probably the most explosive duo of wide receivers on the same team together, they got absolutely exploited when they didn't have their $100 million corner on the field, who did play really well for the first 3 quarters of Marlon Humphrey. So that sucked. I think they're pissed, and hopefully it slaps you in the face and wakes you up. But I don't know. I'd love to look up a stat. Has any team that's ever allowed 6 touchdowns in a regular season game to an opposing quarterback won the Super Bowl? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I think that was just insane.
Probably not. And I mean, you're looking at a good salve coming up here with Kendrick Bourne and the boys, and whatever they got going on. And
Nelson, Travis Taylor, Aguilar.
Yeah, it's not a great scene up there with that New England receiver core. It's certainly not going to be quite the caliber that they've seen this week. But hey, it's a road game, and I guess what's still a hostile environment up there in New England. And that's a pissed off fan base right now that's really going to want to win, and Belichick's going to want to get the ship back on track after losing to this very team in week 1. So, it's not going to be an easy game, but I still think it's going to be a winnable one for the Ravens. And if you can get yourself to 2-1 and kind of pull the late great Tony Sperano, bury the ball and move on from this one, I think there's a good opportunity here to do so. But I am fucking pissed off right now. And this team, these players, these coaches, this general manager, this owner should be fucking livid right now.
Just continuing down the line of ridiculous stats that I'm stumbling upon, I'm looking through the game book right now. The Dolphins didn't have a single quarterback hit that at least the NFL credited them with. Like, how do you lose that game?
You don't. Like, that never happens. And that's why I feel like this is a little bit fluky and we're maybe kind of getting a little crazy here. But at the same time, it just feels kind of systemic with some of the stuff. But yes.
The pass protection was good. It was weird. I was surprised how well Patrick McCary played. Even Ben Powers played good. It really didn't. And that's against, they were still sending a lot of 5-man looks. So, I mean, guys one-upping. And, yeah, they were giving chips. They were helping McCary, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But
it worked. Whatever the plan was to get protection worked.
But then they run the ball, and those guys can't move bodies. And that's really what killed them.
And I think my last overall kind of point with what I'm seeing through this team for the first couple games, and this is maybe not as true in the week 1, but definitely today, it's just the continuous ability to not actually get sacks. You got to actually sack the quarterback at a certain point. You got to ask the girl out. And it just feels like who was slipping away from Justin Houston, and he's run, and who had a great game, and he's slipping away from these guys. Where was Justin Matabike after a great week 1? Where are these guys that are actually, where was Owe, who we've been talking up all summer, that's actually going to bring the fucking quarterback down and create negative plays and get them in negative down and distance, get them in 2nd and 17, get it. And who the fuck cares about that, right? Because they're just going to pop one lollipop up to goddamn Jaylen Waddle, and he's just going to score a goddamn touchdown. But I don't know. I'm wrapping at this point. Give me some sack production, please. That's my overall take there.
There was no modicum of pressure. I mean, hey, the one of the Tyreek Hill touchdowns came on 3rd and 10.
Yeah, you're exactly
48-yard touchdown, 3rd and 10. 3rd and 6.
Which, by the way, was the exact same thing as the touchdown with the Bears last season. It was the Marquise Goodwin, just fucking toss one up there. Fuck it, Marquise down there somewhere. Same thing with Tyreek Hill, on that play.
Definitely. So, of all these things, I guess the grand realization is that what they had playing cornerback and in their secondary and how they approached it was an utter failure. So, hey, there's your GOAT of the week, to use Peter King's version of GOAT, not the greatest of all time, but the actual GOAT.
Which, how on brand for Peter King to have the kind of wrong slang. God, don't even get me started on that. Just continue. I'm sorry.
But so, hey, the secondary lost this game, the corners lost this game, and whatever Mike McDonald and the rest of the Ravens defensive coaching staff was unable to teach and implement was also a failure. So they're the GOAT of the week for the Ravens, and an all-time bad September loss, a really sobering, demoralizing loss despite outstanding offensive efforts, and really one of the best passing performances that this offense and Lamar Jackson has had in this reign of Lamar Greg Roman football, thrown to absolute waste. So
I think I can leave on a positive note. A nice feel-good story for those at home on Lamar's 79-yard touchdown run as they were running to celebrate in the end zone. Tyler Linderbaum outran Josh Oliver, so
Yeah,
that's fun.
no, that's great. And another positive note to close the day on here is that the AFC North ran the table today, 0-4, which, how often do you get an 0 in this division? Not very. So our guy, Joe Flacco, with an awesome video there, walking into that Jets locker room, hugging Salah, and then just jumping up and down. I don't think I've seen him have that much fun on video since winning the Super Bowl, probably. And even that was like maybe not even as much as intense as this. So that was cool to see. Always great to see the Bengals take a big fat loss and continue to eat some humble pie here. I think they'll right the ship eventually, but not looking good so far, taking a big fat L to Cooper Kupp there. And then
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, Cooper Rush.
And then they have Joe Flacco next week at MetLife. So,
which, that does not portend well for them, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, I mean, Steelers taking the loss to the Patriots, like I mentioned. Things could be a lot worse right now. I mean, it's only you're 2 games into the season. It feels terrible. It should feel terrible. It's probably like anyone's therapist would tell them. Let yourself feel what you're feeling now and work it out. Moving on into next week, which they're going to have plenty of opportunities to do. That Bills game is looming large, in my opinion. I think if Tua was doing this today, I think Josh Allen should very much be licking his chops with this one.
It depends on who's fucking playing cornerback, man.
Yeah, no,
Who's
you're right.
Cornerback?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And hopefully he does, and he underestimates him a little bit. And they get Marlon back, and they get Marcus back, 100% healthy, ready to go. Marcus Williams is still looking like a fucking amazing signing.
That's 4 plays on the ball today.
Yeah, incredible. The guy is a ball magnet. Kyle Hamilton had his struggles today. He's had his struggles, at times, but he's looking like a hitter back there.
PFF says that he is the highest graded Raven of the week.
Yeah, he's made some plays, not for nothing. Our guy PQ struggled a bit today, but he had a good week 1. Week 1, we saw the defensive line do some good things, so it's not an entirely lost cause. But God damn it, Mike McDonald better getting some asses this week. John Harbaugh better getting some asses this week. It's not good enough. It's fucking embarrassing. And I hate to say that too, because it makes it like about you as a fan a little bit, but they should be embarrassed as players and coaches as
they are. They simply are. All of their reactions were utterly apoplectic. And in that essence, the buck stops at each individual person. There was objective failure in the fourth quarter, and their big thing is finish. They wear it on t-shirts and all of that. And they did nothing other than not finish in the fourth quarter.
Yep. 100%. All right.
Well, with that, I guess that kind of wraps it up. But like you said, hey, silver lining, some nice things offensively, pre-snap, and the rest of the AFC North also sucks. So could be a little bit worse, but not too much worse. A definite, very, very, very sad boy season for the kickoff of Baltimore and the Ravens home opener. Definitely the most disappointing Ravens home opener I can remember at home. That Peyton Manning 7 touchdown was in the old Mile High, and that one definitely sucked. But this one, you don't have, a Lombardi trophy sitting right behind you from your previous year's performance to at least, hang your hat on. So it's going to be interesting to see how they rebound and how John Harbaugh's message deep into his tenure as a Ravens coach in one of his most embarrassing losses as a coach and biggest, blowing of a lead. How do you respond? Are you able to have that message fresh and get guys to respond against a legendary coach in Bill Belichick and going up to New England and seeing an old friend in Matt Judon and all that good stuff? So can you rebound and throw this up to being a stinky fish that you didn't get a whiff of at the grocery store and brought home by accident? Or is this a team that is just going to continuously fail to finish and execute?
Yeah. And if there's anyone that I do trust to rebound from a tough spot, it is my guy, John. So I've got him in, gotten on his case a little bit tonight. And I did a little bit of a call to action article that's probably going to be going up on the site, either tonight or tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, it's just, he's better than this. He's way better than this. It's to your point about the buck stopping and starting. In my opinion, it all stops and starts with him. And he's really got his work cut out for him here. So Coley boy, any closing thoughts from yourself?
No, I think you guys nailed it. I think one of my biggest disappointments was probably in the pass rush. I think I took last week's possible fool's gold a little too deep. Expected them to kind of beat up on what I thought was a weaker interior, and I thought that interior line would really eat. So that would hurt to see, and now it's kind of like we're back in the pass rush purgatory, and we'll see if that kind of irons itself out. But I think, we'll all feel a little bit better when we wake up tomorrow, but I think they just got to go take care of business at Foxborough, because I'm worried about that week 4, week 5 stretch that they have coming up.
Yep, I am 100% with you. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me in what was a necessary conversation after a difficult day. I think we hashed some good things out, but it doesn't really matter what we do, because it's on this team to figure it out, like we keep saying, and hopefully they will. So we'll be back later in the week to talk about that game in Foxborough. Maybe have a little bit of a guest on. Nice teaser there for you. And yeah, I mean, not much else to say. So thanks for listening, everyone, to what was a therapeutic little session here. Follow us on social media. You can follow Cole at Cole Jackson FB. Check out his YouTube page, Two Guys Watching Football, and you can read his stuff on Russell Street Report. You can find our Twitter page at Podcast Beatdown. You can find me at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. And Spencer is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That's the number 4 in the middle there. Thank everyone for listening after, like I said, a very tough day. It's going to get better from here. I can feel it. It's like the Beck song, Loser. My life's going to turn around. I could just feel it coming. And listen, it worked out for Beck. He's had a great career. So thank you guys again. We'll talk to you later in the week. And see ya.
See ya.
Arrivederci.
Peace out.
Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they getting? Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.